Welcome to our demonstration of QuickTest. The aim is to give you a high-level overview of the platform and to show you how quick and easy it is to set up a test so you can start monitoring your services. We'll start with the dashboard. Here you can see the tests that have been run today, this week, and this month. The total, the successes, and the failures. You can also see the service monitoring overview, and this gives us an overview of the scheduled tests that we have been running. You can check how often it runs and when it was last run, and by looking at these dots, you can see the last date and timestamp of each test. You can also drill down into the test from here to show the history and to understand what actually happened with that test and why it was a success or a failure. We also show the volume of tests that have been run during this period and in what proportion they have been run and on which channels. We also have a detailed service monitoring section because some customers wanted to be able to group tests by region or product. So in here, you can have a folder of tests that are running on a regular basis, and you can see all the results together. Here, you'll see the things that we're monitoring. You can analyze the correct prompt, the answering prompt, whether the welcome prompt is as expected, and whether it was responsive enough. We also capture voice quality so that we know what experience the customer is getting. So this is the dashboard and the homepage for QuickTest. The three main areas of QuickTest, which are service, script, and test method. The service is the destination for your test. We simply create a service by going in here, giving it a name, and then, depending on which channel we choose, that's what we need to actually enter the details for the destination. So if I'm using NLU bots, for example, for testing an IVR, then that would be a phone number. If I was using an email, that would be the email address. WhatsApp would again be a phone number, so it depends on what channel you're testing as to what details you would put in here. I'm going to select the NLU bot because I want to test an IVR. And here I would just put in the phone number with the country code and save it, and that's it. That's done. Then I need to create the script. Now, the scripts are the messages that you're expecting from the customer, whether in text or speech, and the responses you expect from the IVR or chatbot, or whichever channel you're using. So, we use this section to define a script. Let's take this example I've used before. So here we give the script a name, something that is meaningful to you. Then we select which channels we want to test. Again, I'm going to stick with the IVR here, and then I can choose whether I want to use NLU supports for natural language understanding DTMF, or I can have a combination of the two. So if my call flow uses both of those, that's not a problem. We can test it here. Then we go on to add the messages to the platform. We can provide a description for each script. For example, we might label it as the Hello Welcome prompt. Here, we specify what we expect to hear from the platform, such as, Welcome, how can we help you? Then, we outline the desired response from the customer. For instance, if the customer says, I want to talk about my bill, and we carry on like this. And we can choose the reply type, whether it's speech or DTMF. If there's any pause in that response that we're getting from the QuickTest, it may be that you want a scenario where the customer has to go and check something before they respond. So if you want to simulate that, you can add delay pause. We can decide what language we want it to work in, and we can also have the interruption feature. As we know with DTMF, when customers get familiar with a platform, they're quite happy to press the numbers before they've listened to the whole message. So we can choose to simulate that by saying, well, I want QuickTest to send the response after 3 seconds rather than listening to the whole prompt. So we go on adding our messages and responses like that until we've built the entire script. You also have the option to import the script from various file formats such as text files, Excel files, or CSV files. After creating a script, you can export it to view the template. Then you can also use a bulk upload. For instance, if you have a spreadsheet with multiple workbook pages, you can upload it and do multiple tests in one go. We also have the feature of browser calling, so you can actually use QuickTest to phone your IVR, and then you can enter the response, either speech or DTMF, as you wish. and QuickTest will capture all of those prompts and responses and generate a script automatically from them. We also offer a feature called IVR tree, which is where QuickTest will go off and dial the IVR and navigate through every single branch of that IVR and create a tree for you, which you can then use to select which branches you want to go down and automatically create the scripts for you to use from there. So that's about creating a script. Now, the test method is where you bring together the script and the service to create your test sprint. There are 3 types of testing. Load testing enables you to send multiple calls or interactions to your platform to test any breaking points, especially when interacting with other platforms. Scheduled testing and automated testing are essentially the same thing. With automated testing, you set up your tests in QuickTest, and then you can run them whenever you choose. This could be part of your regression testing or CI/CD pipeline. Scheduled testing again is the same test, but this time we'll add a schedule to it. So it will run whenever you want at the time that you have specified. So if we look at setting up a scheduled test just to show you how we do it, we go in and give the sprint a name that means something to you. Then, next, you can select the date and time that you want it to run. If you're testing in another country, then you can actually look and pick out the time zone that you want to test in, rather than trying to convert it to your local time. So what we can do here is set a one-off schedule. So maybe I want it to run on Monday at, let's say, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I can just add that to my schedule. So there we go. It'll run on the 12th of February, at 8 o'clock in the morning, or I might want to do a repeat. So let's say that from today on, I want to repeat it. And the end date I want is the end of July, and also with the repetition here, I can choose whether I want it every 5 minutes, 30 minutes, hourly, weekly, monthly, or I can select custom. Now in custom, I can actually select the days of the week I want it to run and the hour and minute that I want it to run. So for example, I could want it to run Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 8 o'clock in the morning and 8:30, and also at 12 o'clock and 12:30. And if I add that as a schedule, we now have a schedule from 8th of February to the 31st of July, and it's going to run at 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 8:30, 12:30, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay. We can add as many schedules as we want here. And if you've got any public holidays or change windows, we can put in a pause schedule to define a schedule of when the test will be paused so that they don't run, and you don't get false negatives on the days that you're not expecting them. We then go in here to select the channel that we're going to test again. I'm just going to pick the NLU bot for now. We then pick up on the duration of the call. Now this is more of a safeguard because the calls can be as long as you like. But if something were to go into a loop, you want to make sure that it stops eventually. So here, we'd suggest maybe putting in 1 or 2 minutes, depending on your flow. And this means that QuickTest will terminate the call or the transaction if it hasn't happened at that point. We then want to select the service that we're going to use. So I'll pick up my demo service here and the script that I want to use, and I'll pick up the demo script so they're the ones we defined earlier. I can choose the speech model, and it depends on the language and the context as to which is the best speech model. But we can always try with command and search as a default to start with, and then see what response and how accurate the recognition is, and then try other models. We can have the from number, so we can use the default number here, but you can also get in country dialing so that we can dial from local numbers. We can also choose which voice to test with depending on whether we want the default voice, which could be either male or female, because certain IVRs will respond differently. We then come to the success criteria. Now I can just add one criteria, or I can add multiple criteria. So for multiple criteria, I can choose confidence, which is the overall confidence or average confidence of all the prompts that are in the test. I can also select the maximum and minimum prompts. So minimum is useful because you may have a test that has 10 steps in it and 5 of them play, and they play perfectly and they're accurate. The confidence is high, so the test would be marked as successful. But actually, you needed to hear all 10, and it's not a successful test for you unless you've heard all 10. And also, we can put in maximum prompts, which is useful to indicate if something's gone into a loop. For example, if you are only expecting 10 prompts and you've gone into 12, 13, 14, then you'd want to know that. Phrase matching is sometimes used for legal reasons. There are specific words that need to be recognized in a test, so they're very important. So, we put in the phrase match so you can look for the specifics that you want to see. The single prompt confidence will cover the confidence of an individual prompt because you may have a confidence of 90 here in the overall average and say you have 10 prompts. Well, if one of them falls below, say, 80%, then your overall mark may still be above the 90s. But if you say that no single prompt can go below 90%, then that will take those criteria into account as well. So, you can keep adding as many criteria as you'd like. And we also have a time difference, that's how long it takes the IVR to respond. You then have the choice if you want to rerun the test when it's failed because there may just be a slight glitch in the network or something. So, you can select how many times you want to rerun it if it fails and how often you want to run it after it's failed. So you could say, I want to do it 1 minute after it's failed, up to 2 more times. So then, if the test fails 3 times consecutively, you'll get notified that it has failed. And if it's successful the 2nd or 3rd time, then that's counted as a success. You then give the email address that you want the notifications to be sent to, and you can select whether you get emailed for only failures or for both successes and failures. We also have the option to send a notification via SMS or via WhatsApp, and we can also use a webhook URL to integrate with your monitoring systems. Let's run a test so you can see the QuickTest in action. I'm going to pretend to be an IVR and get QuickTest to call my mobile. My mobile is ringing. Hello, how can I help you? I want to cancel. Voice by QuickTest system. What would you like to cancel? My broadband. Voice by QuickTest system. What is your telephone number? 123456. Voice by QuickTest system. Okay, goodbye. So there we go. You can see the results come up on the screen in real time. We'll just wait for the final calculations to happen on the test. But you can see what QuickTest recognized the IVR was saying and what QuickTest said in response to the IVR. I can also have the option to listen to the audio, download the audio, and export the results of the test. I can also click here to see what the confidence was, what the criteria were that I was measuring, and what the actual results were. So that gives us the overall test. Now let's look at the reports. There are various reports we can get. The high-level report in the date range that you specify will show you the sprints that have run during that time and the details of those sprints. If we actually go into the sprint details report, we can see all the individual tests that have been run as part of that sprint. And if we look into any of these tests, we can go into the information and see what happened and why the test result was a failure. Again, it is still available to listen to the audio or download. So all the reports, all the tests that you have run are kept there, and all the recordings are kept for about 6 months. And that is QuickTest at a very high level. I hope you have found it useful. If you would like to learn more about QuickTest, simply reach out to us, and our team will be happy to set up a personalized demo and answer any queries you may have. Feel free to email us at contact@cloudcx.ai. Thank you.